Now, as I mentioned at the top of the program, the pile-on against Liberal candidate Catherine Deves has been ridiculous. She's running for the seat of Warringah, Tony Abbott's old seat on Sydney's North Shore, now held by the independent MP Zali Steggall. The media, political opponents and even left-wing Liberals have attacked her with nasty and deceptive beat-ups about her comments on girls, sport and transgender competitors. The efforts by the Liberal Party organisation to keep her out of the media have also been over the top. They've been an affront to proper democratic scrutiny, actually, and accountability. Anyway, I was sick of the way Deves was being silenced and hidden away, so I caught up with her at a pre-poll booth in Mosman earlier today. Catherine, hello. Chris Kenny.
Chris, hello.
Pleased to meet you. We haven't met in the flesh before.
No, we haven't.
Done some interviews on television but never met in the flesh.
That's right.
You've been pretty hard to catch up with. The Liberal Party doesn't seem to want us to do interviews with you.
Well, I'm standing here talking to you, so...
Well, how's it all going then? How's the campaigning going?
Look, really good, Chris. I'm out there every day on hustings, shaking hands with people, and the feedback that I'm getting is really positive. So a lot of support, a lot of quiet Australians just walking up to me, tapping me on the elbow and saying, keep going. So I think there's definitely a groundswell of support.
Well, what about people like me want to do interviews with you, talk about various issues with you? We seem to be blocked by the Liberal Party all the time. Are they trying to cruel your chances?
Oh, no, they're not. Obviously, I have... in the national press, I rose to prominence in the national press, but they want me to concentrate on Warringah and they want me to concentrate on local media and local issues.
It seems they see you as a distraction. They see you as a distraction that might cost seats elsewhere rather than backing you in to win Warringah.
I don't agree with that at all. I'm speaking for the quiet Australians. Various polls have shown overwhelmingly Australians agree with my position, and if people are saying that, they're not reading the room.
Yeah, I would have thought so. I would have thought the things you're saying about protecting women and girls in sport would resonate in Wentworth, in North Sydney, in the inner city suburbs of Melbourne, as well as in the outer suburbs. I think that distinction is quite strange.
Yeah, I mean, it's just common sense. It's not controversial for women and girls to want to have a female-only sports category. And when people understand that is simply what the issue is, no one can disagree with that.
Well, tell me then about this concept that somehow your message resonates in the outer suburbs or the regions, but not in the leafy suburbs of the city. That seems to me to be a very divisive message. It seems to me to be very patronising. To suggest that I don't know, that people in the regions are bigots, perhaps, and people in the cities are not.
Oh, yeah, that's very much taking a luxury belief stance, and it might be the people who are able to believe in these ideologies, whether it's to do with, say, climate or gender, where it doesn't affect them, where it's maybe not their daughters who are looking for sports scholarships because that's their pathway to university.
I've wanted to ask you for some time. You apologise for some of the things you said publicly, some of your tweets. Specifically, what did you apologise for? What are the things that you got wrong? What did you say that you shouldn't have said?
Look, I don't think Twitter is the right place to be having arguments about very complex, emotive issues, and I apologise for my language. I do not resile from my position.
So when you said that the gender reassignment surgery for teenagers was mutilation, that was inappropriate?
Look, that is actually the correct medico-legal term. When you are looking at medical...
But you were wrong to use that language?
Look, it's very emotive and it's very confronting and it's very ugly. So, of course, people are going to be offended. But when you look at medical negligence cases, that is the terminology that they use. It is also contained in the Crimes Act of New South Wales.
So you're not really apologising or stepping back from that language?
Well, I'm apologising for how people might have perceived it and the fact that it is confronting and it is ugly, and I certainly don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, but that is the correct terminology.
We're up against Zali Steggall. She's got a big climate change campaign. Is climate change coming up prominently with the people you speak to in this electorate?
Look, it would be maybe number 3 or 4. The main issues, as I said, costs of living and particularly health services. So things like...
What do people say about climate change, though?
Well, they want action on climate, and everyone agrees we need action on climate. The Morrison government has a plan. It is detailed, it is costed. We will meet our international obligations for net zero emissions. So I don't really understand why these teal independents keep pretending that everyone's arguing about climate action.
What is your view of Zali Steggall and the way she's run this campaign? And she's labelled people saying the sorts of things that you've been saying, supporting women and girls in sport, as transphobic.
Well, I think that's very inappropriate. I think parents being concerned about their daughters playing sport should not be called a derogatory slur. And, you know, with respect to her campaign, I mean, obviously she has a lot of money. There's a lot of people out there, they're very motivated. You are always seeing them dancing around on Connemine Street with umbrellas, but I think she's very much underestimating the quiet Australians. They don't like that ostentation. They don't like how it's always in their face. And that's who I'm relying on to get me over the line on May 21st.
You think you can beat her?
Absolutely.
What gives you that idea?
Just the feeling that I'm getting out there. There's definitely a groundswell against the incumbent. Last time there was almost 5,000 informal votes, and looking at the research, over 70% of people who voted for Zali, it was a time to go Tony vote. So when people can see that there's a quality Liberal candidate standing up, they will come back to Liberal.
The latest polling suggests that the government will lose office, and there's no individual polling in this seat, but that would suggest that perhaps you wouldn't win this seat. Would you stick around? Do you see yourself as a long-term candidate for Warringah? Will you try and run again at the next election if you don't win?
Well, Warringah deserves to have a seat at the government's table. They deserve to have a representative who can get things done in Canberra and is not just standing out outside the party room in the corridor making
noise. That could be Zali Steggall this time around. She could be effectively helping the Labor Greens government to form office, and she could have influence there.
Well, I think we'd like to know the answer to that. I think she deserves to tell the people of the Warringah electorate who she's going to give her vote of supply and confidence to.
Now, are you happy with the level of support you're getting from the Liberal Party organisation?
I have a great campaign team. I have people who are giving up time from their work. They are doing long hours. I have many volunteers, people coming from interstate to support me. I can see all the people who are offering to help, and there's people dropping in every 10 minutes offering their help. So within the party itself, yes, I'm absolutely being supported. Matt
Keane, Treasurer of New South Wales, leading moderate Liberal in New South Wales, he said you should have been disendorsed. What would you say to him?
I say he's not reading the room. That's all I have to say to Matt Keane. Yes, he's not reading the room. He doesn't understand that the quiet Australians are behind me on that particular issue.
All right, thanks for talking to us, Catherine.
Thanks very much, Chris. Great to chat.
There she is, the elusive Catherine Deves, Liberal Party candidate for Warringah. Next election, I reckon I'm just going to wander off for 5 or 6 weeks around the country talking to candidates and members around the country. That would be good fun, I think. Interesting to see them, because the parties, both major parties, let's face it, they like to hide a lot of the candidates.